Hi everybody, welcome back to Political Excess. Today let's do another deep dive into an upcoming governor's election. This time let's take a look at Illinois. So the first thing we're going to do is get on Ballotpedia and get a little bit of background about this race. The incumbent governor is Democrat J.B. Pritzker. He's running for re-election to a second term. 4 years ago when he won his first term, he won with over 54% of the vote, which was better than a 15-point margin. Prior to serving as governor, he's known as a billionaire businessman. His opponent on the Republican side is Darren Bailey, and Bailey is currently serving as an Illinois state senator. So let's take a look at their primaries. Well, Pritzker had really no competition whatsoever. He won with over 92% of the vote. Darren Bailey, he did have a primary to get through, but in the end he won with over 57% of the vote, so it turned out to be not very competitive. And if you compare raw vote totals from the primaries, the Democrats had 464,000 and the Republicans had 661,000. So I don't put a lot of weight on raw primary vote totals, but if you do, the Republicans actually had a significant advantage there, but I don't think it's really going to matter in the general election. So let's go down here and see how this race is rated. In all three sites, Cook Political Report, Inside Elections, and Larry Sabato, they all have it at safe or solid Democratic. My own rating has been safe for the Democrats. Outside of 4 years ago, Republicans have won many governor's elections in Illinois over the decades, so 4 years ago could be the start of a trend where the Democrats really dominate, or it could regress a little bit and actually get under a 10-point margin. Now, Darren Bailey is regarded as more on the Trump side of the political spectrum. Some might view that as an asset, some might view that as a liability. In Illinois, it's probably more of a liability. Darren Bailey is from the southern part of the state, and even though it is a red-leaning year, Illinois has trended bluer. So as an incumbent, Pritzker is probably going to be tough to beat. If Bailey has a phenomenal night, maybe he can get all the way down to the mid-single digits. But as of now, it doesn't even seem like it's going to get into single digits. So let's go down a little bit farther and see how the counties are trending on a presidential level. And this shows us that 73% of the population lives in 12 counties that are solid Democratic, and that's defined as having voted for the Democrat for president in the last 3 elections. All the way on the other end, 22.4% of the population lives in 77 counties that are solid Republican, and those of course voted for the Republican for president in the last 3 elections. There are 2 counties that are new Democratic, and those voted for Joe Biden last time after previously voting for Donald Trump and Mitt Romney before that, and there are 11 more counties that are trending Republican. And those are counties that voted for Barack Obama back in 2012, but then switched to vote for Donald Trump both times. So let's go down here and take a look at the county map, and keep in mind the shading does not indicate margins. The shading just indicates if they voted for the Democrat or the Republican in the last 1, 2, or 3 presidential elections. And as you can see, if you hover over any of these counties, you can see the margins for the last 3 presidential elections. There are a lot of those dark red counties, but these lighter red counties, those are the ones that are trending toward the Republicans and voted for Donald Trump both times. And those counties are mostly concentrated in the western part of the state, outside of the Quad Cities area. It is more of a blue-collar area. It has trended toward the right. That congressional district that covers most of that area is going to be pivotal, and it's a great pickup opportunity for the Republicans. And if you go farther south, some of these did vote for Donald Trump by over 70, even hitting 80% in some counties. There are a few blue counties that are scattered throughout the state, but the bulk of that blue vote is, of course, Chicago and Cook County. That has over 41% of the state's population in it, and that voted for Joe Biden by a 50-point margin last time. However, you can see that over those last 3 presidential elections, it hasn't really trended one way or the other much. Comparing it to 2012, it's almost identical numbers. So I think that is something to take note of. But the big problem for why all these deep red counties can't outweigh that blue vote around Chicago is the counties that are surrounding Cook County. Those are the collar counties. So there's a lot of suburbs there, and they have trended toward the Democrats over the last 2 or 3 cycles. If Republicans want to be competitive, they have got to do much better in these counties, and doing a little bit better in Cook County will go a long way. We can also check out YouTube and see what they've got on their channels. Here is J.B. Pritzker's, and these are pretty much all ads on here. I'm a little surprised there's nothing new as of the last month on here. But here's Darren Bailey's channel. He also has some ads and some media appearances, press conference that he's done. And you can also take a look at their official campaign websites if you'd like. Here is J.B. Pritzker's, see where he stands on the issues, take a look at any of his events, etc. And here is Darren Bailey's channel. take a look at his news, donate to his campaign, buy any of his merch, etc. And how about any debates? Well, there was already 2 debates for governor. You may have already watched these, but I will of course put the links down below in the description. I did watch both of the debates myself, and they were pretty contentious. They're probably not changing many minds, but I think at least they gave Darren Bailey a platform for the many people who are probably not familiar with him. But let's switch over to Wikipedia and take a look at their endorsements. Here's Pritzker's endorsements. He's got a few on here, plenty of organizations and labor unions. And here's Darren Bailey's. He, of course, does have that Donald Trump endorsement that was big in the primary. He doesn't have a whole lot else. It's certainly possible there's more that just have not been added here on Wikipedia. And let's go down to the polling here. In the aggregate, Pritzker is up 15.7 points, 50.2 to 34.5. There's also that Libertarian candidate on the ballot who's getting almost 7% of the vote. And let's check out the individual polls. The most recent poll out here was sponsored by Darren Bailey's campaign, and it shows actually a 2-point race, 44 to 42. But outside of that poll, most of these do show a double-digit lead for Pritzker. A couple are under 10 points. There's no denying Bailey is the clear underdog here. I think if he got it down to a 5-point loss, I would say that he had a very good day. Let's compare these polls to how the polls stacked up back in 2018. And there Pritzker got 54.5% of the vote. Bruce Rauner was defeated with almost 39%. And these polls seem to underestimate both of these candidates. The third-party candidates did not get as much support as they did in the polls. Both of these candidates seem to get support from them as well as the remaining undecideds. These were not great polls. They greatly underestimated Rauner's support, and only one of them at the end actually showed Pritzker at 50% or more. So I'd have to say these were not good polls out of Illinois last time. And finally, let's get on Predict It and take a look at the market. And there, the Democratic Party, J.B. Pritzker is at 95 cents. The Republican Party, Darren Bailey, is at 6 cents. So that is quite overwhelming for J.B. Pritzker. So in conclusion, even if the polls are off by a moderate amount and Darren Bailey surges late, I still think he would come up short. As I said, maybe a 5-point loss would probably be his best case scenario at this point. I would be completely stunned if he got it down to a 3 or 4 point loss. J.B. Pritzker is just too strong. He has a ton of money. He's the incumbent. The state has trended blue, even though it's a red-leaning year. Abortion is an issue in Illinois, and it's probably not going to help Republicans at the top of the ticket. Darren Bailey is associated with Donald Trump. That's not going to help him either. Also, Darren Bailey does have kind of a southern accent that also might be off-putting to a lot of the voters in Chicago and the northern part of the state. I am glad there was debates. I didn't want to see Pritzker skipping out, but I don't really think it's in the cards for Darren Bailey this time. Chicago is just too lopsided of a blue city for someone like Darren Bailey to overcome. I think Republicans can win statewide again. It would take the right kind of mix for it to happen, probably an open seat. They may pick up a congressional seat in the U.S. House, but I know Democrats did heavily gerrymander that congressional map, as well as the state legislator maps. But we'll see where the chips fall in just 2 or 3 weeks from now. So that is a bit of a deep dive into this Illinois governor's election. Let me know in the comments, are you following this race? What do you think the margin will be for Pritzker? Let me know down below. And if you enjoy this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.